In this video, we're going to be talking about the newly created managed app service instance. I'm going to be showing you how to create it, and we're going to play around with it a little bit to see what it can do. To get started, you can go to portal.azure.com, and it's a little bit weird creating it. You can't just create it in a standard way, so I can't go to all services and look for it. I have to go to create resource, and then in here, search for it. And here it is, web app for managed instances. And then I can click in here to create it. And over here, normally this is how you can create your configuration script. I'm not going to create a configuration script right now. I'm just going to get this set up so you can see how it is. There's pretty much nothing that's happening here in deployment. And in networking, we do want networking on, and we do want to enable a virtual network integration. Okay, we've got this created, so let's go to the resource. And you can see that the web app is up and running. It's a managed instance and pretty much functions like a regular app service at this point. So let's take a look at what's in here and what's unique about the app service. So most of what you're going to be using in this app service is going to remain the same. Not much changes at the app service layer. Where you really see the changes is when you actually go into the app service plan itself. And within the app service plan, you'll have a couple of things that you can configure. In configuration, you'll be able to once again set that general settings to be able to upload a file onto the server and have it run. You don't necessarily upload it to the server. You actually create a storage account and you upload it to that storage account. And then from that storage account, the app service plan, which for all intents and purposes you can think of as a actual Windows server or VM, takes it and executes it. The other cool thing you can do is you can actually allow for remote access via a Bastion host. And when you actually connect it, you'll notice that it doesn't necessarily work initially. In order to make this work, we're going to have to go to the networking tab and we're going to have to create delegation between the network and the actual app service. So let's do that. So we go over here to the subnets. And we're first going to deploy a Bastion. And while that's deploying, the next thing that we can do is go into the actual subnet and we can delegate that subnet to the app service. or at least ensure that it's already delegated. And the way you do that is you click in there and you can see it's actually already delegated. And if we go down to our subnet delegations, you can see we have it delegated to server farms. That's the delegation that needs to happen to allow this whole thing to function. All right, it looks like the bastion has been created. So let's see how that works now. If we go back to the app service, and then we'll open my ASP, because again, remember that a lot of the changes, even the networking, is happening at the app service plan level, not necessarily at the app service level. If I now click on instances, I can now see that I have my server here and I can click connect. And when I go back to configuration, actually, if I go to Bastion, I see it's all fully configured now, all functioning properly. So let's go back to instances and let's click on connect. And as you can see, this is the actual VM associated with the app service that we are actually running. So this app service that we have up here called My First MI is actually represented by this VM, or is hosted on this VM, I should say. And this is an actual full VM, so I can go in here and I can click on IS Manager. You guys remember that guy? It's been a while. And I can actually click in here and I can look at my sites. And of course, you can see here it says My First MI here. So this is the actual managed instance associated with the app service that's running inside of this app service managed instance. So let's see what else we can do now that we have this working. Let's go ahead and let's create an actual project. And here I'm going to create a Blazor application. I'm going to try to deploy this Blazor application there. So LI. And you don't have to call it My First MI. I'm just using that name here. So I'm going to leave everything alone and get rid of HTTPS. Okay, so we have this set up, and I'm just going to run it once just so we can see that it's a standard Blazor application. Bear in mind, over here, we actually have the empty app service, right? And which is listed here. Here's the actual empty app service for my MI, My First MI. And here's Blazor running locally, regular counter, no big whoop, nothing special here. And what I'm now going to do is I'm actually going to deploy it. So I'm going to publish. And one thing to note, one thing that's important is that as of right now, the app service for managed instances only works on Windows servers, doesn't work with Linux. And it also doesn't work on app service environments. So this is very focused specifically on standard app services, public facing. So we select Windows here. And you can see here that my resource group is there, and inside of it, it's my regular My First MI. So just like any other app service, this allows you to deploy there. And I'm just going to finish the deployment. All right, so we've got this publishing profile set up, and now to publish, I simply click the publish button. This is all standard app service publishing from your local machine. Of course, we would not recommend doing this in the real world scenario. In a real world scenario, you want to use a GitHub action or DevOps pipeline to basically publish your code. All right, and my code has now been published. Same old, same old. I can go over the counter and I can click it. Nothing changes. So let's go back here and let's see what that looks like in terms of the actual machine. So once again, I go down to instances and I click on connect. And you can see it just brings me right into that session. And as you can see, here's my first MI.exe. Here's the web config. Here's pretty much everything. Here's www.root. If there's any layout or component files, they're all listed here. Here's reconnect modal, which we can see right here, reconnect modal. And as you see, reconnect modal has like the Razor, CSS, and JS. And that is actually showing up here, the JS at least. Okay. So pretty much whatever we have locally, whatever we have running on in our code, any content files that we have running there, we would actually see reflected here. So now a couple of caveats. Obviously, these are still app services. So this is still an app service, which means that I can go into the actual scale out and I can drag it from 1 to 20 or whatever. So if we go back to instances, if we actually scale it out, you'll see that there are actually multiple instances that start to appear, and that we have to actually connect to the individual instances to see what's going on in them. So it's not exactly going to scale out any changes that you make between one and all the various instances that show up. So be mindful of that. Really connecting to these servers is about troubleshooting and not necessarily about you going in there and starting to augment things. The way to do that, the way to replicate state changes across the various instances is through this configuration script. And what you do there is that you basically, once again, point to a storage location and a zip file, which would have to have at the root of it this install.ps1 script in it, and that runs every time the server is cycled. Basically, every time the server starts, this script runs. It installs whatever it needs to install and sets it up so that it's able to run for you in that scenario. So in that scenario, when you actually scale up, each one of those servers is going to have this script run, install whatever it needs to install, and you're good to go. Now, another cool thing is that because it's an app service plan, I can actually go in and I can say, I can create another one. So when I create this, it's actually going to create another website on my IIS, right? So you can now start to see the relationship between app services, app service plans, and how they relate and what's actually automated behind the scenes. We're getting a little peek under the veil. Okay, so that's published, and now we're looking at my second MI and home 2. And if I go over to my apps, I can see that I basically have my first and my second. When I refresh, you can see that I now have 2 IIS sites enabled, one for my first MI and the other for my second MI. And so that's basically it for this video. The cool thing about managed instances, it's great if you need to do OS customization so you can install custom software. Again, do that using the install scripts. Don't go into the servers and install them manually yourself. You can do private networking. You can use COM components in scenarios where you need to have some other service running to do some extra capabilities. You can enable that. And in scenarios where there are things within your application, when it's a legacy application that will not run within the app service sandbox, this is a great solution that you can use to enable those capabilities. In the next video, we're going to showcase one such scenario. We're going to have a legacy application that connects to an unmanaged server and uses it as part of its functionality. And we're going to actually run that install script and get that running on app service without changing pretty much anything. Just move the binaries over and we're good to go. Stay tuned. See you then.